Mantras of our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says there is no method in this yoga except to concentrate, preferably in the heart, and calm the presence and power of the Divine Mother to take up the being, and by the workings of her force transform the consciousness. With always our blessings, says our Lord, Sri Aurobindo.
May thy will be integrally done, O Lord. It is my happiness and my law.
Words of our Lord Sri Aurobindo, taken from the Archives and Research, Volume 6, Number 2, page 122, continuation about the way of yoga, the need and the call. Our Lord continues to say, the aim put before itself by integral yoga is God. Its method is tapasya. God is the all and that which exceeds and transcends the all. There is nothing in existence which is not God, but God is not anything in that existence, except symbolically in image to his own consciousness. Humanity also is a symbol or an eidolon of God. We are made in his image, and by that is meant not a formal image, but in the image of his being and personality, the essence of divinity and its quality, the divine being and divine knowledge. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, there are in everything existing phenomenally, or as we all shall say, symbolically, two parts, the thing in itself and the symbol, self and nature. Res, that is RES, thing that is, and factum, thing that is made, immutable being and mutable becoming, that which is supernatural in it and that which is natural. Everything in existence has something in it which seeks to transcend itself, and matter moves towards becoming life. Life moves towards becoming mind. Mind moves towards becoming the ideal truth. Ideal truth rises to become divine and infinite spirit. Let me repeat this. Everything in existence has something in it which seeks to transcend itself. Matter moves towards becoming life. Life moves towards becoming mind. Mind moves towards becoming ideal truth. Ideal truth rises to become divine and infinite spirit. The reason is that every symbol, being a partial expression of God, reaches out to and seeks to become in its own entire reality. It aspires to become itself real by transcending its apparent self. Thing that is made is attracted towards thing that is, becoming towards being, the natural to the supernatural, symbol towards thing in itself, nature towards God. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, the upward movement is the means towards fulfillment of existence in the world. Downward movement is destruction, hell, perdition. Everything tends to move upward. Once it is assured of its natural existence, it seeks the supernatural. Every nature is a step towards supernature, something natural to itself but supernatural to what is below it. Life is supernatural to matter, mind supernatural to life, ideal being supernatural to mental being, infinite being supernatural to ideal being. So too, man is supernatural to animal, God is supernatural to man. Man too, as soon as he has assured his natural existence, must insist on his upward movement towards God. The upward movement is towards heaven, the downward movement towards hell. The animal soul fulfills itself when it transcends animality and becomes human. Humanity also fulfills itself when it transcends humanity and becomes God. By yielding to nature, we fall away both from nature and from God. By transcending nature, we are at once fulfilling all the possibilities of nature and rise towards God. The human touches first the divine and then becomes divine. There are those who seek to kill nature in order to become the self, but that is not God's intention in humanity. We have to transcend nature, not to kill it. Every moment of humanity which seeks to destroy nature, however religious, lofty, or austere, of whatever dazzling purity, or either reality, is doomed to failure, sick, disappointment, disillusionment, or perversion. It is in its nature transient because it contradicts God's condition for us. He has set nature there as a condition of His self fulfillment in the world. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says every moment of humanity which bids us be satisfied with nature, dwell upon the earth and cease to look upwards, however rational, clear-sighted, practical, effective, comfortable it may be, is doomed to weariness, petrifaction and cessation. It is in its nature transient because it contradicts God's intention in us. He dwells secret in nature and compels us towards Him by His irresistible attraction. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, Materialistic movements are as unnatural and abnormal as ascetic and negatory religions and philosophies. Under the pretense of bringing us back to nature, they take away from us from their entirety, for they forget that nature is only phenomenally nature, but in reality she is God. The divine element in her is that which she most really is. The rest is the only condition, process, stage in her development of the secret divinity. Not to be snared, enmeshed, and bound by nature, not to hate and destroy her, is the first thing we must learn if we would be complete yogins and proceed towards our divine perfection. Being still natural in the world, to transcend nature internally so that both internally and externally we may master and use her as free and Lord, Swarat Samrat is our fulfillment. Being still, the symbol to reach through it, the thing that symbolizes itself, to realize the symbol is our fulfillment. Being still, a figure of humanity, man among men, a living body among living bodies, though housed in life and matter, yet a mental being among mental beings, being and remaining all this that we are apparently, yet to exceed all this apparent manhood and become in the body what we really are God, Spirit, Supreme, Infinite, pure bliss, pure force, pure light. This is our fulfillment. Our whole apparent life is a becoming, but all becoming has for its goal and fulfillment being, and God is the only being to become divine in the nature of the world, in the symbol of humanity is our fulfillment. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo continues to say, integral yoga in its practice may be either perfect or partial, either selective or comprehensive. Perfect and comprehensive yoga avoids limitations by aspects and leads to entire divinity. If we are to exceed our human stature and become divine, we must first, in our Indian phrase, get God, for this human ego is the lower, imperfect term of our being. God is its highest perfect term. God in us is the possessor of our super nature, and without Him there is no effectual rising. The finite cannot become infinite unless it perceives and desires to touch its own secret infinity, nor can the symbol being, unless it knows, loves, and pursues its self reality, overcomes the present limits of its merely apparent nature. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo continues to say, the attainment of God is the true object of the human effort, for which all his other efforts, political, social, literary, intellectual, are only necessary conditions and preparation of the race. But then there are both differences in the state of attainment, differences in its range and effectivity. Three states of divine attainment may usefully be distinguished: touch with God, indwelling in Him, and becoming He. The first is initial and elementary. Unless passing the wheel of our own ordinary nature, we touch the divine being, or He, leaning down, impose His touch on us. Unless we come first into contact with Him, either in our heart, our mind, our works, or our being, we cannot go on to indwell in Him. If we are strong in spirit, The touch may indeed be rapid and summary, and we may wake at once and stride forward to the state of divine indwelling, soul of man in the soul of God, the individual in the universal, but the touch must be there. To enforce this preliminary stage, to bring man into some kind of contact with God, is the common and sometimes the sole preoccupation of human religions, and does not matter greatly to nature for her purpose how it is done, in however crude and elementary a way, through whatever intellectual errors and emotional blunders or ethical outrages. The touch must be established. This imperatively and above all things the religious spirit demands. Nature, still following her upward surge, has provided a mightier rank of human souls who are capable of going forward beyond this preliminary effort and having entered into the very being of God, of dwelling there in beatitude, entering into the consciousness of the infinite, feeling it all around them and in them, ever thrilling with its touch, aware of identity with it in nature, joy and inner awareness, they yet preserve a constant separateness of their self being and their special being in that identity. They do not plunge themselves wholly into the divine ocean, or if they go down into that, they keep hold on a fashion line which will preserve their touch with the surface. In their nature, whatever be their opinions, such as men as Vishishtadvaitins, souls not drawn towards entire oneness, but unless man plunges himself wholly into God caring, not whether he re emerge, unless the human sacrifices himself wholly to the divinity, keeping back no particle of his being, not even the least particle of separateness of the individual ego, the divine purpose in man cannot be utterly accomplished. Therefore, nature or the will of God, for nature is nothing but the will of God in action, has provided that some, having indwelt in God, human soul in divine soul, shall be irresistibly called immediately with brief respite or at long and last to the utter immersion. These go onward and throw away the last trace of ego into God. Some of us, it has been said by a great teacher, are Jivakotis, human beings leaning so preeminently to the symbol nature that if they have lost it utterly for a while in the reality, they lose themselves. Once immersed, they cannot return. They are lost in God to humanity. Others are Ishvara Kotis, human beings whose centers has already been shifted upwards or elevated in the superior planes of our conscious existence from the beginning, was established in God rather than in nature. Such men are already leaning down from God to nature. They, therefore, even in losing themselves in Him, yet keep themselves, since in reaching God, they do not depart from their center, but rather go towards it. Arrived, they are able to lean down again to humanity. Those who can thus emerge from this bath of God are the final helpers of humanity and chosen by God and nature to prepare the type of supernatural man to our humanity is rising. Nevertheless, her ultimate aim and the perfect comprehensive yoga is that which embraces rather than selects. We are meant to be within the symbol of humanity, what God is in Himself and universally. Now, God is free, absolute from these limitations, and all comprehensive. He is always one in his being, yet both one with and separate from his symbols, and in that differentiated oneself and oneness, able to stand quite apart from them. So, we too, in our ultimate divine realization, when we have become one with our divine self, may and should be able also to stand out as the self, still one in all things and beings, yet differentiated in the symbol, so as to enjoy a blissful divided closeness, such as that of the lover and the beloved, mingling yet separate in their rapture, and may should even be able to stand away from God with a sort of entire separateness, losing his hand still, unlike the pure dualist, but still standing away from him, so that we may enjoy that infinity of human relation with God, which is the wonder and beauty and joy of dualistic religions. To accomplish this is the full or the Purna Yoga, and the sadhak who can attain it is in his condition the complete yogin. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, in such a triune condition of the soul, is this possible? Logically, it would seem impossible. Logically, all trinities are chimeras, and a thing must be one thing at a time and cannot combine three such divergent states as oneness, differentiated oneness, and effective duality. But in these matters, an inch of expression experience goes further than a yard of logic and experience. You will find affirms that the triune God state is perfectly possible and simple once you have attained God's fullness. We must not apply to the soul a logic which is based on peculiarities of matter. It is a true of a clod that it cannot be at the same time a clod hanging up or pasted on some bough, a clod protruding from the earth, a shapeless mass trodden into the mother soil. But this is because the clod is divided from the earthly form. The soul is not divided from God by these barriers of material and dimension. What is of true matter is not the true of spirit, nor the standards of form become fact applied to the formless. For matter is the conscious being confined in form, spirit is the conscious being using form but confined in it, and it is the privilege of the spirit that though indivisible in its pure being, is freely self divisible in its conscious experience and can concentrate itself in many states at a time. It is by this tapas, by this varied concentration of self knowledge, that divine existence creates and supports the world and is one and at the same time God and nature and world, personal, impersonal, pure and varied, qualified and without qualities, Krishna and Kali, Shiva and Brahma and Vishnu, man and animal and vegetable, and stone and all aspects of himself and all symbols. Our Lord says we need not doubt that we, recovering our divine reality, shall not be bound to a single condition or aspect, but can command a triune or even multiple soul experience. We, becoming God, become that which is all and exceeds and transcends the all. The soul of the perfect knower becomes all existing things and that transcendental in which all things have their existence. Ihaiva, without ceasing to possess his human center of separate existence. For this is the entire divinity That is the result of the perfect, comprehensive, integral yoga. Integral yoga means union, and the whole object of the yoga is the union of the human soul with the Supreme Being and of the present nature of humanity with the eternal, supreme, or divine nature. The greater the union, greater the yoga. The more complete the union, the more complete is the yoga. Our Lord says there are different conceptions of the Supreme Being, and to each conception corresponds to the school of yoga with its separate idea and disciplines, but they are all partial and not complete, but do not cover the whole being and nature. Most of them lead away from life, are useful only to the few who are moved to turn away from the human existence and seek the bliss of some other state of being. To humanity at large, this kind of yoga has no real message. The complete yoga will be one. The complete Purna Yoga, integral yoga, will be one which accepts God in the world and oneness with all beings and solidarity with the humankind, fills life and existence with the God consciousness, and not only raises man, the individual, but leads man, the race, towards a total perfection, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo.